Very good afternoon to everybody present here. I am Oishi Roy, and as you can see, that I'll be speaking on heritage walks as medium of education, because public archaeology has taken a very important position now. Because we excavate, we explore, we get tons of antiquities in every season. We put them back in the cellar, and it's gone. Maybe after 10 years, researchers come, they take them out of the cellars, they look at the antiquity registration numbers, make some studies, length, breadth, thickness, some interpretation, it goes into the thesis, and again it's forgotten because it is only read by the student who will do the next research on the same topic. But what about the public money that we are spending on the excavations and explorations? How are the public being affected by this? So I think this heritage walk is very important because we need to inculcate an interest in the monuments, sites, simple small antiquities in the public, because then they will be the custodian of our heritage and actually stop from the anthropogenic destruction that is taking place every day. Even I'm standing and speaking here, I know somebody's standing and scraping their name on the wall. So the basic aim of doing the heritage walk by my institute, as you can see that I am representing my institute, Bihar Heritage Development Society, and we have been doing heritage walks for quite some time now. This year, we have already done 5 heritage walks. And the aim of these walks is basically to create awareness amongst the students and locals of Patna, and about the history and architecture of different monuments in and around the city of Patna, because everybody knows that Patna is ancient Patliputra. So no other city has a much more ancient or antiquity. Okay. And this will make students aware about the concepts of history, archaeology, and the works of archaeologists. This is important because when we complain that we are not getting a good students to come and study archaeology, it is because we are not able to create interest among them. They're looking for job opportunities. They think history is boring. So it is our duty to actually make history or archaeology interesting for them. So what was the methodology that we actually adopted? The methodology was to first constitute a committee, which actually constituted of teachers and principals of schools and colleges from Patna, not only English medium private schools and colleges, but also government Hindi medium schools and colleges, so that we could reach all stratas of the society. And second was to identify a research person for each track, because we have separate tracks. We do not include anything random, because there's a colonial track, there's an early historic track, then there's a national movement track. So we have research persons for each tracks. Then we have to prepare handouts and questions for the quiz, because the resource person should also know what to address and how to address, and not just be an extempore. It should be a two-way process. And also we have questions which are done as we have a quiz at the end of the program, so that we know how much the students have learned and if we have been able to create some interest in them. Then to encourage the students to actually join these heritage walks, we provide them with certificates for participating in these heritage walks, because nowadays these certificates actually give them some scores, and which is actually distributed to all the participants. However, we have something called certificate of merit, and we also give token prize to the participants who actually give correct questions to the quiz. So actually we have students who have come for all the 5 heritage walks till now, because they want all the 5 certificate of merit and 5 prizes, because that is a big thing for them, because they go back to their college and say that, I have won certificates not only for participating, but also I have got the first prize in quiz. So that is also creating interest in them. So after the committees were constructed and the So the first heritage first track was decided. We created a poster like this, and which was circulated, so that we had certain colleges in mind. And the first college that we actually the students were taken were from Patna College, which is an iconic college of Patna. And then we had National Institute of Technology, and we had Patna Science College, because these three are the oldest educational institutions of the city. However, there were other local people who also joined, and also people from the government officials, because they also wanted to know when this was actually circulated. They wanted to know about the heritage of these three institutions. So I said that we have separate tracks, and the first track that we actually decided was the colonial track, because this is easier for people to learn and for people to create interest. So what you can see here, the first photograph is the red building is the NIT College of Patna, and the other white building is the Patna College. Why did we think that this was important for the students or for the locals to learn? First of all these three colleges, they have been all set up in the 1770s, 1870s. Okay. And Patna College is actually the mother institution for both Patna Science College and National Institute of Technology. And the architectural style of National Institute of Technology is actually Indo-Saracenic style. And actually, after this heritage walk, we had the cultural secretary, and we had more finance commission also there. And it was decided that we would send this National Institute of Technology to be included in the National Monument for Protection, because there are certain parts of the structure which is getting destroyed. So that is one thing that we achieved due to this heritage walk. And the architectural style of the Patna Science College is Roman Greek architectural style. Then I come to the most important one, which is the Patna College. Patna College was considered the Oxford of the East at one point of time. And then due to its problems, due to political issues, the college actually has lost its position. So due to this walk, we also try to generate interest in them and say that from this college, there are number of luminaries. So you can study here and you can follow their path. And we also gave them the information that we had, the two luminaries had studied from this college, Dr. Bidhan Chandra Ray and Dr. Sachidananda Sinha, who were actually the modern architects of Bengal and Bihar respectively. And the principal of this college from 1867 to 1880 was actually the person who had identified Patna with Palibotra through their the Greek writing. So the Patna College has itself played a very important role if we see in the research, in the medium of research too. And the campus was actually first a Dutch factory, and here we had the production of opium and saltpeter till the 17th century. After the 17th century, so we have parts of this building that had been set up in different over a period of time. We have Dutch structure, then we have British structures, and this the most important is now the office room, which was actually the ballroom during the British period, and it was built just after the Battle of Buxar. And we have Greco-Roman figurines on the walls, and it has been, unfortunately, the figurines have been plastered. There are whitewashing has been done, so some of the it is not recognizable anymore. But after this heritage walk, when we actually spoke to the officials, they have there has been a talk going on that they will actually now conserve. So that is, again, I say it's something important for us. And this college actually was so important because of its facade, that the outer facade was used by director Satyajit Ray for his national award winning movie Simaband. So, and it is very important because the students in this walk, we had students from Patna College, Patna Science College, and Patna Women's College, they actually got to know about their own college, about their own institutes in a different way. They were studying in those institutes and they did not know the history. They did not know the architecture. They started appreciating their own institutes, and they started to understand the importance. They started saying that we will take care so that nobody come and writes on the walls, so that people do not throw tobacco on the walls, and we will take care of our institute. So we actually think that it is one of the biggest success that we could have. So that's what we are saying. We incited the young brains to look at the architectural heritage of their own city, not very far from where they were staying. We didn't have to take them too far. And through the means of quizzes, slogans, and very important, we ended the program with a pledge. The pledge to take care of their own heritage and to stop it from anthropogenic destruction. So that is how we ended the first heritage walk. And so the next track that we decided was the early historic track along the Ganga River, along the tracks of ancient Pataliputra. And this was the first walk where we had included school students. So we had to change the way we spoke. It was not only history, but also we had to give them information a little bit about the natural environment, about the park, because there's a Kumrahar Park. And they also got to know, we had to talk to tell them about the Mauryan Empire, because they were all class 8, 9 students who did not really have much idea about the Mauryan Emperor or the 80-pillared hall. And so we had to, they actually got interest when we told them that where you are standing, actually, there are 80 pillars underneath your feet, because they were actually sinking due to the water level. So if you actually remove the sand on top of it, you will see the bases of the pillars. And inciting, we actually gave them amazing information about the 80-pillared halls. We said that when the first pillar was actually discovered, and then the discovery was continued by Spooner, he thought that he was actually looking at something like the 100-pillared hall of Persepolis. So everything, because they knew Greece, they did not think that the Indian subcontinent could also have something amazing like this. So whatever they were seeing at that time, they were trying to draw parallels from the Greek history. And we said that the Mauryan emperor, you are walking along where Emperor Ashoka stayed, and you had the Buddhist council also at this place, supposedly. We'll still say supposedly. And then they were shown the only pillar that is now preserved in an enclosed area, because the other pillars are actually sinking, so it has been covered. So you cannot see much there, but whatever you can see will actually say that you are walking along the ancient Pataliputra. And then they were taken to the Arogya Vihar, because you have multiple cultural habitation there, because the Arogya Vihar is of the Gupta period. And here also you have an exhibition hall where we have the photograph of Didarganj Yakshi, because Didarganj is not very far from there. And you have associated antiquities which are displayed there. And also when the pillared halls were found, there is a model which has been placed there. So the students were really interested, and they were asking questions like, when will you all open it up so that we can see the original structure? So ASA is now thinking about removing the sand and actually displaying it to the public. So this third track that we did was the medieval track, because it is very important. What you see here is the Takht Harmandir Sahib, which is actually the birthplace of Guru Gobind Singh. So this place is actually important for us, because Patna city, the core area of Patna city, is actually where you can see the mutual coexistence of religion. And this walk was important because people are fighting all over our country in the name of religion. So this walk, the speaker, the resource person of this walk actually started that where we are standing is actually the heart of mutual coexistence, because we have the Gurudwara here, the Takht Harmandir Sahib, and you can see there are two mosques, and one of them is the most beautiful mosque of Patna, and they are situated within a 5 kilometer radius, and they are actually existing happily without fighting with each other. Then what are you fighting about? So they introduced the concept of mutual coexistence, and this is the birthplace of Guru Gobind Singh. And a little further ahead from this Takht Harmandir side, we have the Kangan Ghat, where it is said the bangle, the Kangan of Guru Gobind Singh actually fell in the waters of Ganga when he was playing as a child. And the initial structure was a wooden and brick masonry, and we have reference to this in the colonial record of Charles Wilkins in it has been dated to 1781. But the structure after the fire ravaged this wooden structure, it was rebuilt by Maharaja Ranjit Singh, and two floors were later added. The influence of Mughal architecture in the form of jharokhas and domes is visible in this structure. And these are the mosques that we are saying, which are existing mutually and happily with the Takht Harmandir Sahib. And this is the Khwaja Ambar Mosque, and it was built by a Nazir, the revenue officer under Shaista Khan, the uncle of Aurangzeb. And you can see that this structure, this mosque is now being encroached by structure. So it is important for us to actually preserve the structure, because this has been dated to the early 18th century. And this is only the wall, the outer facade, and when you enter inside, you can see the entire plan of the mosque. And it was really difficult for us even to photograph, because it is on the main road and it is a very busy area. And due to encroachments, you have illegal electric lines going over it. You have shops in front of it. So it's very important that these structures are now really taken care by the government. Then the most important thing about this, the most important destination of this walk was the Mir Ashraf's mosque. And this is the most beautiful mosque of Patna. And Mir Ashraf's mosque is undoubtedly the most beautiful. I said that before. It was built in 1773. And by a local trader named Mir Ashraf. And it is very interesting that a structure of such grandeur could be built by a local without any royal patronage, because we do not have any information of any royal patronage given to this mosque. And at the entrance itself, we have an ablution tank, or the Wazukhana, which is ornamental and built using multi-foil arches. And there's a usage of Kashi ornamentation style, and it is still visible in the domes and the flooring of the prayer hall. And this is actually a living structure. This walk was actually conducted on the 14th of August, and it was mainly to commemorate Independence Day, which was next day. And we actually thought of commemorating, along with Mahatma Gandhi, one more person who people do not know, but he played a very important role in the Indian independence movement. And that was Pir Ali Khan. He was hanged due to his participation in the revolt of 1857. He was just a bookbinder, and he was from Uttar Pradesh. He did the work of actually passing on the letters of the revolutionaries. And when he was actually caught by the Britisher, he was immediately hanged in Patna city. But nobody actually still know who is Pir Ali Khan. And we do not have any monument as such. There is a park, Shahid Pir Ali Park, near Gandhi Maidan. So we took the students there and we told them about Pir Ali Khan, because he's one of those unsung hero. The next place was Gandhi Civil. This monument is actually important, and it is located in A.N. Sinha Institute. And this place was the residence of Mahatma Gandhi in 1947, when he was visiting Bihar and Noakhali, now in Bangladesh, during the partition movement where people were continuously being massacred. So he was coming to Bihar to actually spread uh, the talk of peace. And he stayed here, and he was invited by somebody called Syed Mahmud. And here, this house has been actually conserved by my own institute, Bihar Heritage Development Society, very recently. And there is a small museum inside, and there are photographs taken at this place when Mahatma Ji used to stay here. And here he was hosted by Dr. Syed Mahmud. And just in front, we have the Gandhi Maidan, where he used to hold talks every day. And then we took them to the Gandhi Museum, which actually showcases the events. And here you can see we have, there's a nice structure where all the letters sent to the Indian government after the death of Mahatma Gandhi by luminaries all over the world. And the letters are actually preserved here, not the original letters, the photographs, and they have been preserved in such a way that you can read through it. And it is actually, it was interesting for the students to know how, we know he was father of India, he was revered, but the degree to which he was revered is very important for the students to know. So they actually got to read the letters of all the luminaries that were sent, the luminaries who sent those letters. The last walk that we had this year is actually something very important. And this was part of something called Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat that is being conducted by the government of India now. And we had students coming from Manipur, and they actually visited Bihar. And it was our duty to actually talk to them, make them interested about our heritage, about our monuments, and about the intangible, tangible culture of Bihar. And the students, interestingly, they were not from history or arts background. They were all polytechnic and nursing students. So it was a big responsibility on us to tell them about our culture, to tell them about Patliputra in such a way that they understand, they do not get bored, and they can also replay the information to us after the end of the talk. So we had students from Manipur who were here, and this walk was actually led by me. So we told them about the interesting, we told them about the Greek Persepolis and how everything was related to that at that point of time. And we are thinking of reopening the 80-pillared hall. And they were actually interested that they were standing at the place where Emperor Ashok was staying at one point of time. And this was probably the place where the third Buddhist council was held. And they were really interested to see the Chunar polished pillar, the only single pillar that is being preserved here. And they were introduced to the antiquities and the landscape. So what are the future prospects? We have heritage walks, we are doing heritage walks. So what now? From here, where do we go? So first of all, we have to involve a greater sphere of schools and colleges, so that now we are dealing with Patna Women's College, we are dealing with Delhi Public School, Loyola, Patna Science College, but there are hundreds of schools and colleges. So we really need to talk also to the engineering students, to the medical students, because they are also part of our country. They also need to take care of their heritage. Introduce the concepts of heritage walks outside the boundary of Patna. So now we are deciding to take these heritage walks to Vaishali, Muzaffarpur, and all the other districts. And those will not be conducted by the officials of Bihar Heritage Development Society. We have planned to train resource people from there, the local people, the local teachers from the schools and from the colleges there, so that they themselves can conduct these heritage walks, so that because they will understand the local people better than us. We from Patna, we are from a city setup, so we won't be able to reach them. So it is better their own teachers, their own village, their own town people talk to them. So it is our duty to train them now and resituate Bihar on the map of Bihar built heritage, because although Bihar has structures which are so important, the archaeological sites which like Patliputra, Telhara, Nalanda, Rajgir, but still there are nowadays we do not have that many foreign visitors here because of the condition of the sites, condition of the monuments. So it is very important for us to resituate Bihar on the map of built heritage and to preserve them from further anthropogenic destruction, because it is some parts are already destroyed. We cannot do anything. But now we really need to preserve whatever little we have now. Otherwise, that will be also gone after this. Impart education also on the intangible heritage and not only on the tangible heritage, and create an army of future custodian of our heritage. Thank you. And I would like to acknowledge Dr. Alok Kumar Kanongo, because he thought it was, I would give a talk here which would be interesting to everybody. Dr. Bijoy Kumar Chaudhary, the Executive Director of Bihar Heritage Development Society, who actually plans all the heritage walks. And he actually allowed me to come here for the talk. And the technical team of BHDS, because they actually do a lot of planning in these heritage walks, the participants and resource persons of all the heritage walks, and of course Dr. Alina Sumi and her team of volunteers for making this conference a big success. Thank you.